All right, we are back. This is the FloTrack podcast. Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Kevin. He is Gordon. FloTrack podcast at gmail.com is the email address. Want to start the show with a special announcement. Some of you guys might have seen the tweet circulating on social media where none other than LeBron James said, jumping on someone's podcast soon, maybe my own. Turns out he has some strong thoughts on the 800, Gordon. So I guess, is he coming on Wednesday to do that? Maybe a combo NCAA preview, his defense of the men's 800 type show?
We're just gonna have to wait and see. I don't
Okay.
want to give anything away. He's very secretive with this whole process, so we're just gonna let it come into fruition as it goes. And so you just have to wait and see. But it's exciting. It's very exciting.
History for the would you say, I mean, definitely top 5 biggest guests we've ever had on the show,
E-
I'd have to say.
Top five,
Maybe.
top 10, top five, top
Yeah.
10, somewhere in the top 10, at least, at minimum.
Uh, right now, Connell Tour Hengelo going on. So, I mean, you could do split screen if you want, I guess, or just watch that replay after you're done. We got a lot of Continental Tours. Today, we got also one in, is it Prague too today?
Yeah,
Gordon?
Prague.
All right. And then some ones over the weekend. So a lot of track on the site that people can check out. Yesterday, we released a Rabat slash Sydney McLaughlin flash recap. I mean, also Warholm. We panicked. We got scared. We got emotional about where Warholm's at after the injury. So we'll update the Warholm situation, the Sydney story, in terms of whether or not the mark will count or not. We go all into detail on that. So that's on yesterday's pod. Today's show, we'll talk about some of the other results of the weekend throughout the world. Carrie Richardson, Allyson, Felix, some results from that meet in Nashville. We will update the Warhol situation, do kick of the week, and if this was track. I guess we could also talk about there's another high school boys sub four and some fast high school 800s as well. I think we need to
Yeah, so
pivot
much.
since you're selling the elite 800. I think we need to pivot to the high school 800s because the girls 800 has been amazing this year with Whitaker and Roisin Willis, and then on the boys side of things too, it's been incredible. Sumner and Flat.
Yeah, I mean, when I said yesterday we need to cancel the World Championship 800, the high school 800 can stay where it's at. You know,
It's
in
great.
fact, maybe we just host the high school national championships in Eugene in replacement of the World Championship 800. Have the Cade
Mhm,
Flats of this world, the Gorarians, the Whitakers, and have them entertain our fans because they're doing a good job. It's the pros
mhm.
that aren't doing too good of a job. You know, I blame. I
Agreed.
think this is our curse that we're bearing because Donovan Brazier is hurt, and
Mhm.
so when we don't have the greatness of Brazier, it just all goes downhill from here. But I digress. Let's talk about Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about this yesterday, but a lot of other stories got in the way. We wanted to recap Rabat too. There was another sprint meet down in Florida. Windy conditions, but Richardson got the win 10.73. It was a plus 4.3 ahead of Jenna Prandini in that final, who ran 10.75. And with the camera angles with the race, a bit difficult to figure out um, and analyze it as much as you could a race like the Prefontaine Classic. But the important part for her, she's winning. She's established herself, I think, at this point as the number one runner in the US. Now, whether or not she can continue that to trials and still get in that top three, I think she's worked herself in a really good position. But that's obviously TBD. Got to run the race. And then on the world side of things, you still got to think the Jamaican contingent is strong here. But what do you think? I mean, it's 10-7, but with the wind, if you correct that down to zero point 0.0, it goes up to 10-9. Again, if you put a 2 on it, it's going to be in the 10-8s. I'm tired of the win conversions. So I'm just looking at this as she wins. She won again.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to look at win conversions. You can look at the World Athletics raw score, which you see here. If you bring
Mm,
up Sha'Carri's profile right here, when she ran the 10.92, that was equivalent to a 12.17 raw score. Her
hmm
two races this past weekend was a 12.18 and a 12:34. So she now has
12:82.
three races in the 1200s raw score wise. 1200's a good run. Like that's like
Mhm.
elite sub 11-second elite run. She now has three of them under her belt in a short matter of time. Now one at the 12:34 range, which is pretty getting closer. Like we're talking about you go into the 12:40s and 12:50s when you get to what Elaine Thompson Hurrah does. Like Elaine Thompson Hurrah's best mark is a 12:46 from
Mhm.
Prefontaine. She has a 12:37, a 12:24. So when you're in the 12:20s and up, that's a good sign. Again,
Look at
Sha'Carri's
you
not an
using the
Elaine Thompson.
scores. Look at
What?
these fancy numbers. You're like, there's not enough numbers in track with the time. I'm going to use a score for
Yeah,
track.
well
Look at
the
Gordon
scores are good
Mack.
because it takes into account the wind. That's what you like
Mm.
about it. It takes into account the wind. So it's a good way to kind of allow for people who are running into headwind, allow for people who are running with tailwinds to kind of put you all in the same, you know, category. But anyway,
Well,
back
I
to
have my own
Sha'Carri.
score. I have my own score, and I
All
think
right.
I think the pre-race was better because she was in it with competition, and there was legit pressure. Nobody really knew
Okay.
this race was happening until with the day or two before. And
True.
I think for sprints, especially, competition matters because the margin of error is so small. So I put the pre race over this, but pretty similar. I think it's all pointing to this complete picture now. Like she's been pretty consistent, um, going back even to that crazy headwind race, not the first one, but the second one, where she finished ahead of 20 Sha'Carri. It's like three finals in a row where she's been in and around that same area.
Yeah. When you look at the rest of the US field, I think Sha'Carri now has really grabbed the bull by its horns, they say. I think she is the clear favorite. I look at the second best runner right now in the US in the 100 is probably Tunisha
Mhm.
Terry. And Richardson has beaten her now multiple times. Aaliyah Hobbs, I would say, is one of the top tier runners. Gabby Thomas is there, but Gabby's more of a 200 woman. Same with Brittany Brown, more of a 200. I really can't think of it's really hard to come up with three names that you're confident can all beat Sha'Carri now. I could come up with like
Mhm.
12 2 weeks ago, but now, I really can't come up with many. I can't come up with any. So that 10 7
Yeah.
3 is real. And I look at Sha'Carri now as the favorite. And if she can go to US trials and run like back to back win legal 10 7s or a 10 8 win legal, then maybe a slightly windy 10 7.
Mhm.
Then we're going to start thinking, okay, what's she going to be able to do a few weeks later at Worlds? It's going to be very. Elaine Thompson Hurrah is just too damn good to be beaten right now. I think it would take a choke job from one of the Jamaicans for Richardson to win. I don't think Richardson does not win straight up. It would require both Jamaicans to choke, which happens. People choke. It's sports. I choke
Mhm.
sometimes in sports. I know what it's like watching my favorite
Certainly
sports teams
podcasting.
choke. I choke in my podcasting. But if the two Jamaicans choke and Richardson doesn't, there is a chance that Richardson could win, but only if three things happen: two chokes and one perfect peak. I hope I make myself. I hope I'm making sense. Am I making sense?
Well, I think you started somewhat clear and then it got murkier as we
Okay.
went along. But if you're just looking at USA's, I'll just keep it on USA's. I said this before, like the US, it's crowded for the US in the high 10 8s into the low 10 9s. Talking win legal times here. I don't know what the point value would be at that. Check Gordon's charts for that. But if you get down to low 10 8s into high 10 7s, then you're far and away the best. But there are a lot of people in the US on the women's side right now who are capable of a big one-off performance. That's what I would keep an eye on. Like there's a lot of women out there. Some are competing in the NCAAs right now. Some are just regular pros. who it wouldn't surprise me if you went to, like, if you said, "Oh, Steiner or Jefferson's going to run 1083 at USA's," that wouldn't be shocking to me. Or someone like a Hobbs or a Terry, someone like that, like low and eights. But then if you get into sevens, then it's a totally different ballgame. So I think for Richardson, can she return to that form? Right? Can she return fully to 2021 where she was running the fast times and putting up the big margins of victory? So far, she's not quite there yet, but she's done enough to put herself as number one in the US.
Yeah, and I spent all weekend retabulating my US
There it is.
rankings, my top 10
Yep.
US rankings. And Sha'Carri came up on top of my rankings. And
How many points?
how many points? There's no points. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Mhm.
I take.
So 1
I
point.
don't show
It's
the
like golf,
points,
like cross
but I
country,
do
low
have
score
a
wins.
way of doing it. It's based off of your top 3 performances, what you did in 2021, a little bit of an algorithm. I weight it a certain way, and I have a few exceptions. I have the Christian
Mhm.
Coleman exception because he didn't run last year. But uh, they're good rankings. So check them out. Go to flotrack.com/rankings, and you can see the newest US rankings. I do every event from the 100 all the way to the javelin throw. And Richardson right now is currently ranked number 1 in the women's 100. Can you guess my 200-meter rankings?
Gabby Thomas.
Correct.
Okay,
She's
there you
number
go.
1 in the 200.
All right, I have an announcement to make.
Okay.
Ready for this? I feel confident that I know where Allyson Felix's last race is going to be. We've been trying to figure this out for a while. I feel confident I know the answer. It's going to be at the World Athletics Championships in Eugene, Oregon, because Allyson Felix is going to make the team in the 400. I think she's going to run USA's. She said in an interview, someone flagged for me that I think she plans on running through USA's, and she just ran a 50.7 over in Chorzów. I think she's going to get at least to the finals at USA's, and that's going to put her on the relay team. Now, whether that's the mixed gender 4x4 or whether it's the just regular 4x4 as a member of the relay pool, I don't know. But do you know where 50.7 right now gets you in the US in the 400,
But
the women's
I
quarter?
do know. I do know because I was looking at it last night.
Fourth. Fourth. And one of those people is a Thing Mo, who's probably not going to run the event. So there's third. Another one of those people is Britton Wilson, who, by the way, side note, Britton Wilson should probably run this event as opposed to the
Yes.
four. I mean, it's probably easier for her to make the team, but we'll put that aside right now. We're talking about Allyson Felix. And then Kennedy Simon is on that list. Now, there might be some other people who run fast at NCAAs. There might be some people who turn in a good performance pre USA's, but we're 3 weeks out, Gordon, and she just ran the fourth fastest American time. And I think if she goes to USA's, she runs USA's, which I assume she's going to do, I think she's going to make the team. And I don't think she's going to be like, no, I don't want the spot. She's going to want to go back. That will be the perfect send off for Felix. And as a track and field fan, someone who's followed her career forever, I think that's like a way more appropriate way to go out than just like, oh, I'm going to show up at one last Diamond League, or I'm going to run in a continental tour in Europe, or I'm going to run this meet in New York or wherever. Like Allyson Felix, with the career she's had, it would be so fitting for her last race to be in a global championship.
Do you think Allison expected the 400-meter US field to be really non-existent? Like, we're not seeing the Wade and John, the Kendall Ellises, the Jonathans,
Yeah.
the Quinera Hayes. Like, where's Quinera Hayes? And we're not seeing these like low 50s and 49 highs from some of the great 400-meter runners. Like, we're seeing two college kids and an 800-meter runner be our top 3 400-meter stars.
Yeah.
So it just seems like maybe Felix is like, wait a minute, I might be in shape enough to maybe even win USA's. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I like, do you think she's kind of surprised that her 50.7 in June is already fourth in the US?
Yeah, probably a little bit. But this is what we were talking about last year, remember? When you were insistent she wasn't going to make the team. And I said, well, look at the list and name the 3 people that are going to make it in front of her. And then that sort of extended globally. Then it became name 3 people who are going to be able to medal. Like you can give me Shauna Miller-Weibo, you can give me Paulino, but everybody else, this is last year on the world scene, was a bit better. Now, this year on the world scene, it's different. Like I'm not going to go and pick her for a medal. I'm not even going to say right now she's going to make the team. But the woman she lost to in Poland, Kazmarek's like a legit 400-meter runner. Like that's not a bad loss for her. The 400 globally has been kind of wonky this year because there's been some high profile races that have been in bad conditions. Paulino's looked really good. Miller Weibo lost to her. There's been some fast collegiate marks, as we know, but nothing's been out of this world. Nothing's been like, oh man, you don't even have a chance. This is going to be ridiculous. So I don't know if this was by design. Remember, this whole thing was very somewhat secretive. There was never like this outward plan. There was never a tweet. It's like, here are my last 5 races. She said, I think it was after Mount Sac, I'm going to do 5 or 6 races. I think we have to be up to 5 or 6 at this point. And then she said before one of these most recent meets that she's going to run USAs. And I just think if you run USAs and you make a team, you're going to run world championships. I would be stunned if she made the team and then didn't run world championships. Yeah, she's already run. That was her 4th race already. 2 200s and 2 400s. And if you take her best mark on both, a 22.4 and then a 50.71, those are solid. You know, the other 2 marks, um, slower than we would expect from her, but like she can, with the way that, if she runs 50.5, or I mean, I mean, if she runs 50.7 in a semi, she's gonna make the final.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, there's just no way she's not gonna make the final.
No, yeah, she's gonna make the team. I believe that. 50.7 is very different from running like a 51 high, So
Yeah.
according to my math, it's almost a second different. That's the
How many
difference.
points? How many,
Points. Oh, the points. I don't know. The point difference is a little different, but
yeah.
the time difference. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think Felix is now showing that she is fit enough to be able to make the U.S. team, which will put her also on the 4x4. And that makes sense. That would be her swan song
Yeah.
of running in Eugene one last time in
Mhm.
front of the world state on the world stage. Um,
Yeah. Well,
so yeah,
and the whole idea of this is the first outdoor championships, world championships in U.S. history. It makes sense that she would be there. She's been the
yeah,
face of U.S. track for so long. Now, timing was tough, especially when it got pushed back a year because of COVID. Not everybody's career. Like I thought when they first named when this championship was gonna be, I was like, oh, that's gonna be the perfect send off for Ashton Eaton. He's been retired for feels like forever now. But that's just what I thought in my head. Oh,
yeah.
this will be an Eaton coronation. Ah, so for someone who's been such a big part of U.S. track, it makes sense that she would be able to compete there, like enjoy that opportunity to race one last time. And on a relay, it's fitting too because she's done such good work on the relays throughout the year. Who were some other notable people results wise over the weekend? I got Brittany Brown. I circled her 21.99. I think she's been under the radar, like not that under the radar because she ran that what 10.6 or something wind aided, but it's like a lot of people aren't picking her for the team. A lot of people aren't seeing her as a medal threat, but I think she's both of those.
Yeah, when I did my rankings with Brittany Brown, I have a Brittany Brown problem with my rankings because I currently have her ranked fifth in the 100 and fifth in the 200. And I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to figure out how do I get her top 3 in one of those events. I feel like
Makes sense for rankings.
in the 100 it's harder because I really do think Sha'Carri, Tanisha Terry, and Aaliyah Hobbs are all going to beat Brittany
Yeah.
Brown in 100. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I looked at it as a 200. In the 200, there's already two women who are clear 1-2, and that is Gabby Thomas and Abby Steiner. So the question is, can Brittany Brown be in
Mhm.
the third position? But I have two women ahead of her. Jenna Prandini is just coming off of a 1075, and Tamara Clark, low key, has run very well this season.
Mhm.
Now she doesn't have a Tamara Clark doesn't have a win legal sub 22, but Tamara Clark did run well at the trials last year. So did Jenna Prandini. And I think
Mhm.
that is kind of what I'm is kind of given the bump over for Jenna Prandini and Tamara Clark is because it did run well at the last US championships where Brittany
Mhm.
Brown was getting knocked out in the semifinals. So I think if Brittany Brown maybe runs one more 21-9 or low 22, that might be enough to flip Brittany Brown to that third spot. But right now, I have to go to Prandini and Clark, who are running well this year and are coming off of having good performances at the U.S. Championships less than a year ago.
Yeah. I I think she's in the mid like, I think she could make the team, though, right? Like, I think all that group is pretty well
Yeah,
bunched together. The one I
yeah,
feel really good about is Thomas, and then after that, I think it's wide open. Like, the depth in the 100 carries over to the 200 for the US, and then you have a couple other people that are mixed in there. Like, someone like Battle, it's crazy to think how good she was in the trials last year, and there's a possibility she may not make the team. So this is gonna be this is one of our favorite events, right? Collegiately, US level, and internationally. The women's too is gonna be awesome this year. But I feel good about Brown. I mean she's clutch in 19. I know the field at Doha didn't end up being that fast, but she still got a medal out of it, and she qualified to get on the team too. So she's run well in pressure spots before. I think she's gonna make. Right now, I would have her. I'd have her in my top three right now. Now it would have to be completely subjective, like you said. It's more just a pick. It's not like, oh, I ran all these numbers. I mean, I guess you could just go on descending order list and say it's Thomas one, Brown two, and Steiner three. Um, I feel like she's gonna figure out a way to get it done. She's gonna figure out a way to get in that top three.
yeah. I mean, when you look at just win legal marks, she has the second best win legal mark in the U.S.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying. Yeah, yeah,
some of these other women have run really good second best races and really good third best races that are not win legal, and you got to take that into account. Like you can't just have you know, your one off be your calling card. You can't let Brittany
yeah.
Brown's Waco, Texas 100-meter dash just be
Yeah,
the only
yeah,
justification for the rest of the season.
and I'm not waiting that. I'm weighing the 21.99 way more than that because like these crazy win times, I view with a grain of salt. In any event, all right, let's move on. Shout out to the Jamaican fans. Brittany Anderson just won in Hangalo, 12:52. See, those of you who are watching split screen have something to root for. Let's do a Warhol injury update because we heard words like tear, we heard words like rupture yesterday, but now we're hearing cramp.
Ooh, okay, that's
There was
good.
a quote that was put out by World Athletics or a short interview with the man himself where he said it's probably a cramp in my hamstring. We also had some quotes from Norwegian media. Warholm's coach said it was impossible to give a definite diagnosis of the injury, which makes more sense. It's like if you get injured, you can't just eyeball it and be like, nah, definitely grade 3. That's what we're going to go with. He said he hopes that most are muscle cramps. It's about making good and rational choices. He looked fantastic on the warm up and had absolutely no warnings. He said that they focused on getting him home to Norway for a thorough examination. And he just hopes that it's muscle cramp. Um, Listen, when I saw it, it just didn't look good because I've never seen him pull up on a race. But it was the other thing that was good was he didn't immediately go down to the track, start screaming and grabbing anything, right? He grabbed the ice pack. He stood there. Now, you could definitely injure yourself severely and not have a big reaction to it. We've seen that time and time again. That's not necessarily the greatest indicator, but a little bit of optimism here when we hear words like cramp as opposed to tear and rupture.
Yeah, there's optimism, but I'll go back to what I said yesterday.
Mm,
Once you have this, it's always going to be in your head. And can he
maybe. mm,
not let this affect his mental focus at Worlds? Like when you know like there's a chance something could happen, you're just gonna be thinking about it. It's just gonna be that little devil on your left shoulder, always be like, hey, hey, just so you know, you move your leg a little wrong, I'm coming for you. And it could
mhm.
be the difference between, you know, 0.2 seconds, which will be enough for a Rai Benjamin or Dos Santos to have a competitive advantage. And that's why I think it's a big deal because he's going to be thinking about this now for the rest of the season.
You think Warholm's brain works like that?
Yeah, I do. I think every human brain works like this. I think there's no way he's not going to think about his hamstring on the starting line in the world championship final. No way he's not thinking about it. He's definitely thinking about it. He's probably thinking like, all right, this gotta get through these 10 hurdles. We can do this. And he'd be like counting down. All right, I got through one. All right, I got through two. I got through three. Oh crap, I'm through five. All right, I'm through six. This is great. And then like you kind of on the last one. Oh, last hurdle. Hopefully I get it. And then that moment when you're thinking about it is the moment Dos Santos or Benjamin aren't thinking about it and they make the pass in that final 30 meters.
I I disagree. I think it's more of a physical thing than a mental thing. Because say this knocks him out for 2 weeks, they want to be really cautious. They want to make sure he's all good, and he can't do anything for 2 weeks. The clock is ticking before Worlds, and the margin of error is so small. He can't win with a 90% version of himself. Dos Santos and Benjamin are too good. So I would just worry about the loss of fitness over a couple weeks. Mentally, I think he'll be fine because he just seems indestructible. I mean, this is a guy who debuts running world records. This is a guy who, during COVID, empty stadium, was like screaming at the top of his lungs and able to get himself up for numerous 46-second um, races. I just think he approaches things differently than we do. And I think if he's on a start line, that means he had the assurance and he's done enough in practice to be confident. But I just would worry about him being gone that long. So hopefully it's just cramp. Hopefully it clears up and we see him pre. I want to see him pre Worlds because whenever you go into Worlds, like whenever there's an injury, and then we read all the reports, oh, it's looking better. It's trending up. Oh, he did strides for the first time. It never ends well. Like, you don't want your first race back to be world championships. Like we've seen that movie before. And then first round, they try to go over 4 hurdles. They grab their leg. Then they give an interview where they're like, "Yeah, I was never right. I just tried it. I probably had a 10% chance of finishing." So I want to see him before the world
I'm
championships.
still putting
I'm
hope,
bummed.
not hope, because I don't hope this, but I'm putting like a small amount of fake money on the chance that Warholm is thinking, all right, we're doing the flat 400 to save the hamstring. And then we get the Warholm in the flat four as opposed to the hurdles, which would suck because you want to see him in the hurdles to go up against Benjamin and Dos Santos. But it would also be great because Warholm in a flat four is something new at a world championship level, and that would be must watch TV. So I have a
I
feeling there might be a
think
chance we're going to get a news alert and be like Warholm entering 400 due to hamstring condition,
first of
and it'll be
all,
exciting.
that'd be an awesome news alert. I want to live in the world where you live, where you're getting Carson Warholm news alerts on your phone. Two, I'm pretty sure running an all-out 400 is going to hurt his hamstring too. It's not as if he's swimming a 400. Maybe running a
Oh, dude,
400.
like
That's gonna be
when
painful.
your leg goes like that, that's your ham. That's a different motion for your hamstring than just that.
Oh, I agree. One could be worse than the other, but the first one can still be bad. And if you're Warholm, you want to go out getting seventh in a 400, like you're gonna risk your future for a quarter.
No,
I
if
don't see it.
I
I
think
don't see it.
Worm could medal in a 400. Come on,
The 400 or the 800?
400.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
That is a
That
good
was an
joke.
800 joke. Hey, heyo. Okay. Nice. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other results you want to talk about before we get to kick of the week and the rest of the show?
I mean, high school. Uh, Will
Oh yeah, hit
Sumner
us with it. Go
ran another. Well, not another. Was another high schooler to run 146,
Yeah, yeah.
adding to the list of great high school men's 800. So it's also been great women's 800s. We've been talking about the women's 800s for a while now. But if we look at the the they haven't added his market now, but like two men now running 146 in Cade Flat and Will Sumner.
Yeah.
Very impressive, 146.5. Those two guys, I mean, you look at the rest of the US outside of Clayton Murphy, really, no one else is, and Bryce Hoppel, I'll probably say yes. But those two guys definitely can both make a final the way the 800 is
Hmm.
shaking out. And having two high school boys in a pro US final in the 800 would be incredible. That fact that 25% of the field are from high school, that also be a sign to our professionals, be like, yo, guys, should not be letting high school kids take over your
No, no.
sport. You need to run some 144s and 143s, not these 145, 146s. But I think that was pretty cool for Sumner to be able to add to,
Hmm.
because we thought it was all about Cade Flat, and now Sumner's like, nope, what about me? So two guys running 146 is exciting. And then
Hmm.
up in distance, we talk about the first ever two boys under 4 in the same race, and then we just get another sub 4. We get
Hmm.
Reinhard Harrison runs sub 4
Yeah.
in a race. Where did he run it? He ran it. I don't know.
It was in Florida, I think.
Yeah, the Golden South Series number 2 in Florida, 3:59:33. Yet
Hmm.
another high school boy breaking 4. So we now have
That's
one,
four this year.
four this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I'm feeling good
And
about
you,
my pick. I should have written down what the number was, but I said we were going to see multiples. And even when we had two in one race, I said this is where we're headed. Yeah.
here's my
It's
guess for you. Here's my quiz or prediction question for you.
yeah.
We have 4 this year. Will there be
Yeah.
more next year in high school?
Without looking at the, I mean, you look at someone like Solomon, right, as generational, but he broke it by a lot. And you look at someone like Harrison, who'd been knocking on the door forever. I think we'll see. I'll say three next year, but that's just a guess. I mean,
Isn't it crazy
Harrison.
that you're like, there's probably 3 sub 4. Like sub 4 used to be
It's
like, oh my goodness, stop the presses. Like,
it's over now, right?
yeah, it's
It's
over.
over.
Sub 4 is over.
Okay,
It's over.
because
But we're still gonna
you
talk
you
about it.
feel yeah, but you feel like these 800 guys, relatively speaking, are like way higher on the all time list. I mean, not they're not higher than what Solomon did was different, right? Number three all time in the event. If someone goes number three all time in the event, then that's different. But for if you run 359.99, right, and you sneak under 4 minutes, I mean, how many? So what are we at now? I've totally lost track of how many sub fours we're at all time.
I
Six,
do not know.
16? We don't even know. I'm. I mean, it's crazy because we got all these new ones. But basically, what I'm saying is if someone runs the number 15 all-time mark in the 100 or 200, it's noteworthy, but it's not a massive headline. Now, 4 is always going to attract attention because of the history of the event. But I just think we're at that point that you talked about before where it's like, well, they should be running faster because you look at what the equivalent time would be in the 100 or the 400, and like mid distance running in the US side should catch up to the other event disciplines. Do you have the list?
I do not.
Okay. Well, that was what
I'm
you're
looking
supposed
at
to do. I
that.
was just stalling.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna here now. You talk. Now you stall, and I'll do it. We're at Ryan, Danielson, LaCory, Webb, Verzbekus, Maton, Fisher, Hunter, Sligowski, Brown, Doshbach, Kessler, Salman, Martin, Burns,
There's
Harrison.
14 outdoor.
That didn't help. 16. I think we're at 16. Someone in the chat will know.
There's 14
16 guys.
outdoor and 4 indoor.
Maybe
But
some of
three
those
of
are
the,
repeat.
did Hobbs Kessler do it outdoors?
No,
Okay, so 15 total.
no, it's 16.
No, 15.
I just counted. I just counted, man.
There's
I think Ryan, Danielson, LaCory, Webb was 4, Verzbeek 5, Maton,
they don't have
Fisher,
Colin
Hunter,
Solomon. Yeah,
Legowski,
16. You're right. You're right.
Brown. Okay, someone will correct us. My point is this: you could break it and be 17 all time, right? So go and look up the 17th fastest time in the men's 800 or the women's high hurdles or the women's 400, right? And those times, those performances would be amazing. They'd be incredible. They would be historic,
Yeah,
but they wouldn't get talked about as much.
yeah.
Like
It's
we're too, you're
148.
right. If
Yeah.
someone runs 148 at a state meet, you're like, man, that's person's really good. But you're not
Yeah.
saying it's this completely life altering epic achievement. It's just that 4 has been the number that people. I mean, what is it in the 100? I mean, look up the boys or the girls 100. Like, what's number 17 all time in those events? It's just
When
totally
legal, it is 1020.
right. So, do you think
Yeah,
how much would that get talked about if someone ran 10:20?
not much.
What time does a high schooler need to run to get talked about? I feel like it's a sub. You have to go almost like sub 10:10 to get talked about. Like
Yeah.
the standard is different for every event. And for the longest time, mid distance high school boys, the standard has only been break 4. But then it's like, all right, you break 4 guys did that this year. So basically saying you need to be one of the 4 best in every event. That's not going to hold. That's why I think it's changing. We're in a different era.
Yeah.
And
You want an
it's
update?
just taken a little bit of time. It's taken a little bit of time for it to catch up, but that's always been the case. Right? If you look at those conversion charts, and you match it up to the 100 or the 400 or whatever event, 359.99 in any other event was not nearly as talked about. Go ahead.
You want some updates? Vernon Norwood, 45.28 in Hengelo. Christopher Taylor, 45.45. Trevor Stewart, 45.93. Those
When does
the
Femke Ball run? I
uh
want to know.
we got an hour.
All right, we're going to continue this pot. Sorry, Cole. We're going to stay on for an hour. It's going to be Gordon talking about what he bought at the
Understood.
Women's
grocery store.
800. Women's 800. Faith Kipyegon won in 2 flat. The more you know. Sorry. All right,
All
let's
right.
move on. Let's get into
Breaking
it.
news: Coach K and Duke lost.
Shut up.
That's my favorite part. Let's
You're
go
always
to
worried
kick of the
about me.
week, Gordon. It's time for kick of the week. Hey, we're going to talk about the 800, the men's 800 at the pro level specifically. That's right. They're still capable of having some fast races. Let's go to Chorzów, Poland. You're going to want to keep your eye on Patrick Dobek of Poland, medalist last year. Uh, Actually boxed in here with 200 to go. Freeze it right there. Whoop, let's go back set, Colt. Let's bring it back just a second. Dobek, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can count him there in the light blue shorts. Look how boxed Dobek is in here. And yet he's going to escape, move around everybody, get way outside, and run this entire field down. And he was in a real fight the last 5 or 10 meters, but had enough. You see Dobek there moving out into lane number 3. He's going wide, still has one man to chase, and he's able to run him down, catch him in the final strides, and just hold him off. And this time was pretty quick, Gordon. This time was pretty quick. 144.49. We appreciate the 144s this year. Great kick by Patrick Dobek, bronze medalist.
Yo, watch that back. There was another kick in that kick.
A kick
Check out
within
the
a
guy who
kick?
got third. Check out the guy who gets third. I think he's in like third to last. So yeah. So just watch lane 2. So don't keep your eyes on Dobek. Look on the guy who's going to finish third. He's not in the picture yet. Right there. All right, he's coming out. He's passing the
Oh, I
Kenyan.
see him.
He's in lane 4. He keeps going. That's the secondary kick of the kick of the week as he goes from like 8th to 3rd.
Sticks his arm
So
across as he cross the line. And this is why we love the 800. For those of you saying, hey, we're ripping on the 800. This is why you love it. Look how exciting these races can be. But Dobek catches Robert. Robert's been running really well this year, too. And it looks like, was that Ben there up for third? No, it was De Arriba who catches Ben. Alvaro De Arriba, who goes 145.85. That's a PB for him, Gordon. So that's your kick of the week. A little more conventional this week. Last week we did some unorthodox things on the 4x4s, but good to see a solid being buried with 200 to go, getting out of the box and running people down. Everybody likes that, right?
gotta love it, man. The 800 was born for kick of the weeks. It's a perfect race. It's the greatest
Yeah.
race in track and field, in my opinion. And we're not doing it justice. So
And
at
you're like, I had to
least,
cancel it.
yeah, we just have to cancel it. But yeah, kick of the week, gotta love it. If you have any kick of the week suggestions, email us FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. Tweet at us.
Yep, yep.
Do the whole thing. Comment in YouTube's. And, yeah, gotta love these kicks.
Also, if you want to participate and guess my PR, you can email FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com or Internet Coach. Those 2 segments. We're going to keep those going. By popular demand, people seem to enjoy them. So email it with the subject line, either guess my PR, Internet Coach, or kick of the week. Again, maybe you kick down one of your club teammates, or at a JV meet, you just owned everybody in the last quarter. Like if it's you don't need to be a Diamond League runner. You don't need to be a collegian. Anybody can win kick of the week. You don't need to be a
Do you
world
think?
medalist like Patrick Dobek. Like Patrick Dobek didn't send us that. We had to go out and find it. So if you're going to send us one, we want to reward that dedication.
Do you think kick of the week could get so big that we'll have people fraudulently staging kicks to try to get on the
Mm.
podcast?
Or kicks in real life. Like there's 2 people going for the same line at Costco with their carts, and one person just goes flat out and edges them. Yeah, we could see
Trying to get to
that.
the elevator door. Yeah.
Yeah, running out in the real world. I think that's awesome. That's real world application of your running skills. Don't get anybody hurt, of course. Don't hit anybody with a shopping cart. But yeah,
That
staged
would be a
kicks. Would you be able to tell a stage kicks? I think I could. I remember in that was that Shaq versus show. Do you remember that show a long time ago where Shaq would compete against other people in their specialty? And Tyson Gay raced against Shaq, but they had like a staggered start. And I think in one of them, Shaq actually beats him, and then they show the slow mo, and it's just so clear that Tyson Gay is not trying. Like he could not disguise how little he was trying to catch him. He was like still pumping his arms, but it just did not look like normal running. So I think we could sniff those out pretty easily.
What else we have for you today?
Well, Gordon, we have if this was track, this edition of if this was track. And I saw this headline. This is a sports business topic. So a lot of people have opinions about sports business, present company included. I saw the story where Phil Knight and another rich gentleman, one of the co-owners of the Dodgers, are trying to buy the Portland Trailblazers of the NBA. The bid apparently was rejected though, but it was valued at $2 billion. And anybody who knows the history of Phil Knight knows that when he's interested in something, I don't think he's just going to take no for an answer the first time. So I'd expect we're going to hear more about this. So the first thing I wanted to know is applying this to track. Um, Phil Knight's obviously given a lot of money. So I was going to say, hey, what would it look like for Phil Knight to invest instead of the Blazers, invest this into track? And I was like, wait, we've literally seen that. They get a new track at Hayward Field. Nike has a whole bunch of money. They sponsor more pro athletes than anybody else. They put on an entire meet, the Prefontaine Classic. That's basically a showcase for Nike athletes, and Nike employees come up and watch it. So this was the rare. I didn't even need to do a hypothetical. I know what happens when Phil Knight invests a lot into track. But I want to know from you. I got fixated on this $2 billion number. $2 billion valuation of the Portland Trailblazers franchise. Like, what would you do with $2 billion? And I don't want you to say like, "Oh, I would create four majors and all that stuff." Like, I don't want you to go down the traditional normal path. If you put $2 billion into track, what would it look like for you?
Wait, well, you don't want me to say what the right answer is? Because that is the right answer. Like 2 billion. Like,
Well, you can do
what would
four
you do?
majors for less than you do four majors for 2 billion. You got to go bigger, is what I'm saying. $2 billion. That's a
Two
huge number.
billion dollars. It's a
Yeah,
big
is what I'm
number,
saying.
but
Don't
that number can disappear really quickly if you just spend it all at once. Gotta be
true.
you gotta be careful. If someone gives you $2 billion, Kevin, make sure you invest. Make sure
I
you invest.
will. I will 100% invest. But what would
What
you
would I do with
think
two
bigger is
billion
what I'm saying.
dollars? Well,
In track.
and I'm being forced to spend it on track, right? I can't spend it on
Correct.
anything else.
That's yes,
It's
that's
earmarked for track
what we're
only.
focused on. Exactly.
Earmarked for track only. I would buy every um,
I
streaming
like where this
rights
is
to
going.
every track race that exists from high school to pro, international, NCAA, and I would pull it all on one streaming platform. So you don't need to hop between NBC, Runner Space, FloTrack, World Athletics YouTube channel, some random foreign Dubai feed here, and it'll just all be
Mhm.
under the same subscription model, whatever. So it's just all in one place. So you don't need to find. So David Verberg, I think, tweeted the other day, like he couldn't find results for like certain meets because we just have meets all over the place happening at different times, and it's here, it's there, it's on this platform, it's on that platform, and it's very confusing if you're a track fan to follow the sport because it's all over the place. So I would buy all the live rights to all the meets, make sure all the production's great, and then I would force them all to compete on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. There'll be no track on Thursday through Monday, right? Because I would
Mhm.
want it all to
Okay.
happen at the same time. I would want it to feel like NFL Sunday football, like, all right, every weekend is track weekend. So I'd want to consolidate all the track meets onto one platform on the same weekend throughout the entire year. So you just same way like people know, like Saturday mornings, you're watching the Premier League, right? Or Sunday
Mhm.
morning, whatever the Premier League games are on. It's just like you want to have that one stop shop to watch all the meets. So that'll take a couple million. Uh, I would build tracks in cooler places. I would find
I
build a track like neck. I don't know, like in cool exotic areas that are easy, just for fun, like visuals. Kind of like people love going to certain golf courses that are like on the edge of the water
mhm,
and all that stuff. So
yeah.
I'd build cool ass tracks all over. I would create an uh street type. I would make like a marathon courses more um fan viewer friendly. So like similar to how they whenever F1 comes to a city,
Mhm.
they like tear the city apart and build all these bleachers so they can watch the cars go through the streets of the city. I'll do the same
Yeah.
thing, but for marathon majors, and make it
Oh,
like
so
very
bleachers the
viewer
whole way
friendly.
around?
Yeah, bleachers the whole way around.
Ooh, okay, I like that one.
Yeah,
See, this is good. I knew we were onto something when you started one of those sentences with "I would buy every." I was like, "Whatever's coming next, this
yeah.
is this is more in line with the 2 billion stuff." So that's good. Here, I
I
found the
would.
Verberg tweet. The Verberg tweet's pretty funny. I don't
Yeah,
know why I ever stressed about track results. Nobody can find them anyway.
so chill. I would put aside amount of money called challenge money, where we would
Mm,
put money up to other professional athletes where they can
mhm,
get the money if they can beat the world champion in track. So we would
yeah.
say, I don't know how much money it would take for them to try, but say we put away $100 million, and we say, hey, all you professional athletes out there, we will give you $100 million if you beat
Mhm,
Christian Coleman or if you beat Jacobs. You
yeah.
get one attempt at it, one attempt at $100 million. If you do it, you get it. You just got to give our athletes 2 months' notice. And so it'll be a way to get all these other pro athletes to be like, damn, man, they're giving out $100 million. All I got to do is beat that one person. And then just every 2 months, we have the challenge where we have all the stars from all the other sports come to a track to try to win $100 million by beating Sydney in a 400 hurdles, or long jumping farther than whoever our long jump champion is at that time, because our long jump champion is always different every year. So, dude, I would have a challenge purse to try to draw in other athletes from other sports to kind of train, and then the goal would be one of them were to beat them, and then everyone would be like,
Mhm,
"Oh crap!" And then that person would then want to be on the circuit of running. But in order to
gotcha.
beat,
I like.
it's gonna be hard to beat. You're gonna have to run nine
Yeah,
seven, and I don't think a football player is just gonna wake up and be like, "I run 9.7 today." So
but people would watch it.
yeah,
I
people
like
would
all those
watch it.
ideas. That's
I'm
good. I
trying.
calculated that. Yeah, you're at 1.8 billion, so you still have point 0.2 to go, according to my calculations after doing all my
Okay.
math. So you could, yeah. I mean, maybe you build like another crazy track. You maybe have budget left for one more crazy track in some crazy location.
Yeah.
Yeah, I,
What were you gonna
I
say?
like the I like the marathon course. It's just like figuring out how you could put bleachers around the entire thing and making it multiple loops. I mean, as a runner, it's like ugh, multiple loops. But they do that anyway for trials in the Olympics. They do those, six laps, but just having the um all the other stuff that go along with it, like with the F1 stuff is it's visually interesting to look at, like the way they put that stuff together. And then if you had, bleachers like all the way around, it'd be cool. And I think you'd have to shorten the lap. Like I mean, Kipchoge literally ran on an F1 track in Monza, but from my eyes, it looked like the least interesting F1 track. I mean, just looked like a was it mile and a half, 2.5 miles or whatever. Um,
Oh,
there was no one there too. Like you have to have people there. That's the whole thing that makes it fun.
I just thought about what I will do. I would take all
Was
the
your last
money,
point too?
and I would use the money to to I would make them. I would force all the athletes to live in within 3,000 miles of each other. Okay, this is going to sound US bias, but let's say America. It doesn't need to be America, but for this experiment, let's say America. If you're a professional track athlete, you have to move to America.
That's where
And
the season is what you're saying.
that's
The
where the
season
season
is.
is. The same way
Okay.
Giannis Antetokounmpo has to live in Milwaukee. He's from Greece,
Mhm,
but he has to live in Milwaukee because that's where his team is, right?
mhm.
So all the best athletes have to live within easy flying distance of each other, not on other sides of the planet, and basically creates a place where it's easy to compete more often because you don't have to go on 8 hour,
Yeah.
flights where your shoulder hurts. So Elaine Thompson Hurrah can't go on the flight. We take away that concern and basically have all the track meets. Maybe it's in Europe. Maybe we have all of our athletes live in Europe, and therefore it's easy to have all of our track meets in one location so they can compete more often. They train
Mhm.
all near each other, and you're not just one-off training in the middle of the woods somewhere. And so
Yeah.
basically it allows for the regular season to be more active because they're all within certain distance of each other. In order to do that, you pay them all to live in a certain distance. Because right now, the athletes aren't getting paid to live where they need to live. So you'd have to,
Mhm.
hey, we'll give you $200,000 to live here. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
Or
I'll
maybe
do
you
that.
rotate it too. Maybe you rotate
Yeah,
it.
and rotate
Like
it.
it's
Yeah.
2 months in Europe, 2 months in the United States. All right, good segment. Good job. I'm checking on the chat right now. Um, People are talking about, let's see, what is all in the game? Tamari Davis and Mary Beth running sub 11. That's true at same meet in Nashville. Tamari Davis 1091, Mary Beth Cent Price 1096. For Tamari Davis, I mean, what's her 1108 was her PB before that? I mean, she's still only 19. That's a huge result. So I know people have been paying attention to her for a while, but obviously that puts her in a different category, especially if she can that up. What was Sam Price's PB for that? I mean, we all know her as a 60-meter runner. Pulling it up right now.
I don't know.
Hold on. This is
I can't believe you made me
finding the
just
results.
brainstorm $2 billion and I had no prep. I wasn't prepped.
You were
So
prepped. You've been
no, I
prepping your whole
wasn't.
life. Your whole life has been preparation. 10-9. This is really hard to find because now she set her PB. So what was her PB before this? Let's see. Progression 1108. Hold on, I'm getting close. I need to know
This
this.
is not
Just
fun content. You just
this is point of
searching a
so
random
she
woman's
wow. Well, she
PB.
goes 95. She went 95 and then 96. So she did it back to back rounds. Before that, it was 1108. Not a random person. It's a person who ran some sub 11. Some respect on it, Gordon. Um, yeah. So before this year, never under 11. And then same thing with Tamara Davis.
I gotta go.
Any of the Gordon's got to go.
To the
I really
grocery
do gotta
store?
go.
Colt left. Colt left like 20 minutes ago. Yeah, where are you going?
To the grocery store, maybe?
No, he already
No,
went. He
no.
sent me a picture of his groceries. Gordon sends me
Okay,
pictures
okay.
of his groceries now every time, guys. It's pretty exciting. Gordon's taking off his headphones.
I don't want to say why, but I gotta go. I'll
Okay,
tell you
no worries.
after
All right.
I
We'll
live.
see you Wednesday. Thanks,
Bye.
Colt. Thanks, Travis. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Later.